During a romantic sunset on the shore of a lake in Scotland, Sam Heughan was suddenly caught laughing intimately with a mysterious red-haired woman, a character that is making the online community feverish because of her attractive appearances and charisma no less than a Hollywood star. The red-haired woman, known online as Scarlet Flame, has never revealed her true identity, but according to unofficial sources, she is a reclusive visual artist living in Iceland. When photos of Sam and her exploring an abandoned ancient castle together went viral, millions of fans began to speculate whether this was just an art project or the beginning of a timeless love story like Sam's own character in Outlander. A week later, a blurry video of Sam Heughan and Scarlet Flame standing in the middle of an ancient stone circle in the Highlands, a place associated with time travel legends, went viral on social media. As the clock struck midnight, a blue light flashed, causing the pair to disappear in an instant. Viewers couldn't tell what was real and what was fake, but clues soon began to emerge. A handwritten letter in ancient Gaelic sent to a museum in Edinburgh, signed Claire Fraser. Archaeologists and linguists scrambled to decipher the letter's contents. It wasn't just a message, it was a map to a place that had never been recorded on any modern map, a time warp deep in the Caledonian forest. Meanwhile, Sam Heughan's social media account suddenly became active again, posting only a single black and white photo, an old diary with a red-haired woman's name scrawled in it, Elira Morrigan. People began digging deeper into the name and discovered that Elira was the last descendant of a line of Celtic witches who had mysteriously disappeared in 1743. Coincidence? Probably not, especially since a historian claimed to have seen Elira in an 18th-century portrait hanging in Dunrobin Castle. And in the painting, the man standing next to her had the exact same face as Sam. Rumors spread quickly on occult and historical forums. Elira Morrigan was not simply a witch, but the last remaining time gatekeeper of the Tuatha De Danann, ancient beings who once lived between the worlds of man and the afterlife. They were not immortal, but lived in a nonlinear time vortex, appearing at the intersections of fate and history. While modern scholars debated the authenticity of the newly leaked documents, a small group began to make a pilgrimage to the Caledonian forests following an ancient map. But as they neared the designated location, all electronic devices began to malfunction, watches stopped, and a strange voice rang out from the lichen-covered crevices. Not all are chosen to pass through. In another time, Sam wakes up in a stone room, a pale blue light filtering through the ancient mist. Elira sits beside him, whispering, "We're not in the 21st century anymore, Sam. And I need you to remember what you used to be." Sam was stunned. The strange dreams of years past, of battle scenes, of misty hills, of Elira's name whispered in the wind, were now coming true. He looked into her bright copper eyes, which seemed to hold centuries of memories. "You have lived many lives, Sam," Elira said, her voice as soft as a breath. "And each time you are reborn, you are called to guard the gate. This time is the last." Meanwhile, in the present day, a group of travelers lost in the Caledonian forest unexpectedly return after 3 days, claiming they had been in the woods for less than an hour. One of them, a historian, carries a silver tablet engraved with ancient symbols, identified as the symbol of the Timekeepers, a secret society that has been erased from historical records since the 15th century. Back in the other world, Elira leads Sam to an ancient stone well, where each drop of water reflects a past life. In a touch, Sam sees himself as a Pictish warrior, a wandering medieval monk, a Jacobite leader, and in all of them, Elira is there, the healer, the witch, the shadow in the mist. "We always find each other," she whispers. "But this time, if we fail, it will all repeat itself forever." As Sam and Elira left the Well of Memories, the sky in that world began to turn ashen gray. Purple cracks appeared in the air, a sign that the circle breaker had returned. Elira looked up, her expression tense. "He was one of us," she said. "His name was Kale, and in a previous life, he was your brother." Sam couldn't remember, but deep inside, a vague pain arose, as if some loss had never been healed. Kale was the one who guarded the western gate, where time did not flow straight but folded like a bird's wings. But because of his love for a mortal, he betrayed his oath, trying to break the laws of reincarnation, wanting to keep a moment forever. And that was what caused time to crack, creating the endless cycle of death and rebirth that Sam and Alira had been trapped in for centuries. Kale is no longer human, Alira said, her eyes shining with regret. He is a rift in reality, a wound that does not heal. Suddenly a black wind blew from the west, and in the warped space, Kale appeared. His face was still beautiful, but his eyes were hollow, piercing through everything. You two again, Kale said, his voice dry and cold. Aren't you tired? Falling in love, dying, coming back, forever? Let me end it all. Sam stepped forward, a strange light flaring from his hands, not learned magic, but something primal, innate, older than magic, unified memory. For the first time, he remembered everything. And he was ready to fight. Kale raised his hand, and the space around him cracked like broken glass. Images from 100 lifetimes swirled around him. War, separation, vows. All wrapped around Sam and Alira, as if to suffocate them in their own pasts. But this time, Sam did not flinch. I remember, he said, his eyes never leaving Kale. And I choose to end it, not with war, but with forgiveness. A white light burst from Sam's heart, touching Kale. For a moment, Kale's eyes wavered, as if the last shred of humanity had not been erased. But at that moment, a dark energy burst from the western portal, pulling Kale back into the abyss of chaos. Alira screamed. If he goes through that portal, the loop will be torn apart. All timelines will collapse. Sam and Alira rushed forward, trying to stop him. But they were too weak, until a voice called out from afar, "Wait!" From a crack of broken light in reality, a young girl stepped out. Her hair was bright red and her eyes were uncannily similar to Alira's. In her hand she held a silver necklace with the symbol of the watch. "My name is Isla McCrae," she said. "I am descended from Alira and Sam." The girl was the crystallization of a life that had never happened, but always existed in the potential, a possibility buried in the loop. Isla carried within her the genetic code of both worlds, the real and the mystical. She was the living key that could close the final gate. Isla stepped forward, her necklace glowing, and with an ancient phrase she had never learned, only knew, she placed her hand on Kale. The last burst of light exploded like a cosmic explosion, and then everything went silent. Sequel: Isla and the Legacy of Fire. 3 years after the closing of the final gate, Isla McCrae lives a seemingly normal life in Edinburgh. She is an archaeology student, but her dreams keep coming back, vivid, hazy, and filled with sounds from centuries she has never lived. One morning, while cleaning out her school's old books, Isla finds a wooden box with a silver lock. On the lid, the words are engraved in faded, ancient Gaelic. When time no longer needs to be guarded, its keeper cannot sleep. Inside is a worn piece of leather, bearing a strange note. A map of a subtime, where unrecorded memories still wander like ghosts. Isla begins her journey following the map, passing through undocumented ruins. A bridge that leads nowhere, a church that only appears during full moons, and a name that appears over and over again on moss-covered stone walls. Kale. Though swept into the chaos, Kale never truly disappears. Sam's forgiveness only temporarily stops the cycle, but it does not erase the will to survive of a soul that has transcended all time. Isla understands that she is not just the end of a cycle. She is the beginning of a new world, where time, memory, and human choice are no longer bound by the old rules. The final sentence of the sequel. When Isla looks into the ancient mirror in the abandoned chapel, it is not her own face that is reflected, it is Kale's icy eyes, smiling.